Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into a fascinating part of the Bible, 1 Chronicles 18.
Yeah, it's a chapter that, well, it covers a lot of ground, victories, leadership.
Exactly, and we've got the text itself here, plus some notes that kind of help bridge the gap, between then and now.
hmm Connecting the dots.
So we're looking at this period where King David had just incredible military success, a real time of expansion.
Absolutely. A string of significant wins.
And our goal really is to pull out those timeless ideas from this old story and see, well, how can they actually help us, maybe guide us, strengthen our faith right here in the 21st century?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay, so first off, can you maybe sketch out those victories for us? What's the big picture in this chapter?
Sure. Well, the text details how David defeated some major players. You've got the Philistines, the Moabites, Hadarezer of Zobah.
So quite a few different fronts.
Oh, yeah. And his influence really pushed outwards, heading towards the Euphrates River. It was significant growth for the kingdom, power consolidation.
And the spoils mentioned are pretty impressive too, aren't they? Chariots, horsemen, gold, brass.
Huge amounts. And there's that interesting detail about the chariot horses.
Right where he hamstrings most of them, he keeps 100. What do you make of that?
Well, it suggests a deliberate strategy, maybe limiting reliance on chariots, or perhaps a resource management thing.
Mm.
Hard to say for sure, but it's specific.
And it wasn't just about defeating armies, was it? Other groups submitted too.
Correct. The Syrians of Damascus, for instance, and the Moabites, again, they become servants, pay tribute. It shows a widening sphere of control.
And then there's that victory over Edom in the Valley of Salt, led by Abishai.
Another key win. So, yeah, it's a picture of success across the board, really.
But woven through all this military stuff is that phrase.
Ah, yes. Thus the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went.
It repeats, doesn't it? Like a refrain.
It does. And it's not just tacked on. The text seems to really emphasize that as the underlying reason for all this success.
Okay, so that's the perfect jumping off point. Let's dig into these principles. How does this ancient story speak to us now? What's the first big idea?
Well, the most obvious one, perhaps, is where that success comes from. David was skilled, no doubt, a warrior.
Right?
But the text consistently points beyond his skill. It points to God's hand, God's preservation.
So for us today, that means what? Seeing God in our own successes.
Kind of. It's about acknowledging that maybe our achievements, career, family, whatever, aren't solely down to our own grit or talent. There might be, well, a bigger picture, a divine element, perhaps.
That's interesting. It's not dismissing effort, though.
Not at all. It's more about context. Humility, maybe, and
Yeah.
linked to that is what David did with the success, or at least the spoils.
To dedicating them to the Lord.
Exactly. The gold, the silver, the brass set aside for God, ultimately used for the temple later on.
So the modern application isn't necessarily physical riches, but
But maybe dedicating our resources, our time, our skills, our money. Using those blessings, if you like, for something bigger than just ourselves. Giving back, having a purpose beyond accumulation.
makes sense.
Yeah.
What else stands out? David's leadership style.
Yeah, the text notes he reigned over all Israel and, crucially, executed judgment and justice.
Judgment and justice, even while waging war.
Right, and that principle, timeless. Whether you're leading a company, a community group, or just your family. Fairness, integrity, doing what's right, that matters.
It suggests that how you lead is as important as the results you get.
Absolutely. Power doesn't excuse you from righteousness, basically.
And he wasn't doing it all alone either. The end of the chapter lists his key people.
Right.
Joab, Jehoshaphat.
His leadership team, which is another key point. Even a powerful king relied on capable people around him.
Teamwork. Still relevant, obviously.
Hugely relevant. Building a good team, collaboration, shared values.
Yeah.
You can't achieve big things solo. Not sustainably, anyway. David seemed to understand that.
Okay, and one more point that ties back to the dedication idea, doing it publicly.
Ah, yes. Dedicating the spoils wasn't a secret. It was an open act.
Implying.
Well, it's an act of humility, isn't it? Publicly giving credit beyond yourself. In modern terms, maybe it's about staying grounded when things go well, acknowledging help, mentors, maybe even acknowledging God's role, depending on your beliefs. Not taking all the glory.
Right. Giving credit where it's due. So we've got these principles: God's role in success, dedicating blessings, justice and leadership, teamwork, humility. How does remembering all this story from so long ago actually, strengthen faith today?
Well, I think on one level, seeing this historical account where success is repeatedly linked to God's preservation, it can reinforce a belief that God is active in the world, that he guides, protects, intervenes.
Like it's not just an abstract idea, but something seen in history.
Exactly. And then principles themselves, they offer a kind of framework, don't they? A way to live purposefully, ethically, acting justly, working with others, using what we have for good, staying humble. These are deeply faith-aligned actions. They give substance to belief.
And that specific verse, thus the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. That must resonate with people facing challenges now.
Oh, absolutely. It can be a real source of comfort and trust. That idea of a constant protective presence, that God was with David through thick and thin, and maybe that same presence is available to us. It's a promise of hope, really.
So wrapping this up then, in this relatively short dive into First Chronicles 18, we've uncovered some really practical, powerful ideas.
Yeah, it boils down to acknowledging God, or at least a higher purpose, in success, using our gifts wisely, leading with integrity, valuing collaboration, and importantly, staying humble.
These ancient principles, they really do seem to offer solid guidance for navigating modern life, and they can definitely deepen one's faith perspective.
I think so. They show a way of living where success and faith aren't separate compartments, but are integrated.
That's a great way to put it. Okay, so here's a final thought for you, our listener. Take a moment to think about an achievement or success in your own life, big or small. How might applying some of these principles, recognizing help, maybe dedicating some aspect of it, focusing on the how as much as the what, how might that change how you view that success and its purpose going forward? Something to mull over.
Definitely food for thought.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.